Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Now let's get on to the content. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is Ohio Game Talks, bringing you a topic that I've actually had an internal debate with for quite a few years, honestly. And within those few years, unfortunately, none of these teams have won. Oh, I know, so shocking, right? I mean, yeah, we've gotten close, but they haven't won yet. So this is who gets a ring next, or first in line, I should say, because the Reds, we all know they're five-time world champions, and they've won the NL pennant 9 times. The Bengals, on the other hand, they have not won a Super Bowl, but they've been to it 3 times, but they've come up on the losing end all 3 times in heartbreaking fashion, I might add. But it really kind of sparks a debate, man. I mean, if you want to go history, obviously the Reds take it, but if you talk about recent and like the last decade or so, the Bengals have had more success. So taking in all the different factors that go into each franchise, I'm going to make a decision, but I'll take you through the arguments. But first, you guys know who my teams are. Obviously, it's the Reds, the Bengals, Ohio State, and the Cavs. I got into the Reds and Bengals a little bit before because I followed baseball a little bit before, and then football, obviously, the same year, later in the year. So I really got into the Reds and Bengals a little bit first. I mean, I like all my teams in principle the same, but if you told me give me a slight edge, I would give it the slight edge to these two. Honestly, I still love all 4 of them pretty much equally, I should say, but these 2 teams, unfortunately, are also the ones that have not won in my lifetime. I've been blessed to see 2 national championships by Ohio State. I've seen, an NBA title delivered in historic fashion by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I've seen some success, but it's incomplete. These 2 teams need to do it. And then my life as a sports fan, it's pretty complete if you ask me if that happens. But we got a long way to go for both those, unfortunately. But these 2 teams, like I said, they were the first 2 teams that I became a fan of. The Reds, I always grew a little bit more frustrated with them because, obviously baseball is just a self-frustrating sport. I mean, you look at baseball, that when a hitter strikes out, I just get so mad. It looks like there's no effort there. I think it's just a testament to how hard baseball truly is. Then the Bengals, man, it just feels like they've had the talent. At times they've had production, but they're just inconsistent. And that's what's led to some downfalls over the years, and that's what led to some disrespect from, the media and whatnot. All this stuff has piled up. It just hasn't been a good look. The Bengals have let us down big time. The Reds have let us down big time. Both these teams have just not given what the city deserves. So, looking at different factors, let's go over it. So, let's start off with the Bengals. I mean, like I said, they've gotten there. They've gotten to the Super Bowl. They unfortunately came up on the losing end. Aaron Donald just completely blew up our offensive line, and our defense, unfortunately, just could not stop the Rams at the end. But we look at the Reds then. While they've had a more storied history, the furthest they've gotten in my lifetime is the 2012 NLDS, Buster Posey's Grand Slam. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I do believe this. If the Reds had went on to win one of the final 3 games against the San Francisco Giants, I believe that they would have won the World Series, or at least been in the World Series. I mean, you look at the Cardinals, we were 7-8 against them, so that's just typically what you expect from scrappy division rivals. But that 2012 team, man, was just loaded. They won 97 games. I know the Cardinals were good. I know that they choked a 3-1 lead to the Giants, but the Giants, I mean, you give them credit. They got hot at the right time. I really believe that the Reds could have won the World Series that year because the Cardinals, I mean, obviously the Reds were going to have home field advantage. You knew they were going to, get up for their hated rival. The Reds and Cardinals, their history in the mid-2010s, early 2010s, where it's always, pretty nasty. So you knew that was going to be a tough series, and I felt like we could have prevailed. And then the Tigers, they just imploded in that World Series. So I really, really thought we had a good chance of beating both those teams. But unfortunately, Posey kept the game out of reach, and the Giants went on to win the World Series. So kudos to them, but yeah, that's the furthest the Reds have gotten in my life, unfortunately. But when we look at the Reds now, I mean, they got Ellie De La Cruz, a phenomenal guy to have in the clubhouse, phenomenal player. I mean, we're finding out that Ellie played the whole season on a partially torn quad. What am I supposed to do with that information? I mean, kudos to him for doing it, but I know a lot of people are getting on the Reds organization, why would you allow him to play it? I think he wanted to play, but that's not the point. Anyway, we look at the Noel V. Marte. He was really clutch in the second half. I really loved what I saw from him. Ever since that suspension, looks like he's been picking it up a notch, and I really want to see some improvement for him in 2026. But then we look at, it starts with the rotation, and I'm not going to discredit Abbott. I'm not going to discredit Lodolo, but Hunter Green is the ace of this pitching staff. That's just plain obvious at this point. and I think we can expect big things from him next year, obviously, if he doesn't get traded. I know he's in trade talks and whatnot. I hope we don't trade him. He was rough in the playoff game, but I guess first playoff game, jitters and all that. So I'll give him a pass there. I'll give the Reds a pass as a whole. But the move that I really think gave me a lot more excitement heading into 2025 was the hiring of Terry Francona. Not only did the Milwaukee Brewers get eliminated just 10 minutes prior, I saw this notification immediately after, and I was like, this is like the greatest 10-minute stretch of baseball that I've had in like quite some time, especially in the offseason. I love this move, and say what you want about Tito. You know, he was not perfect. He had some boneheaded decisions. I'm not going to deny that. He did not manage the bullpen well at times. He took out starters sometimes a little too late, sometimes a little too early. He was not perfect with the rotations and the lineup. At the end of the day, you can talk about the Mets choke all you want, but in his first year here, he took the Cincinnati Reds to the postseason for the first time since 2020, and for the first time in a full season since 2013. That has to say something about the culture that he set, as opposed to David Bell, who did not have a culture. We can talk about it all we want, like, oh, the Reds, they've got in because the Mets stunk it up. They got in for a reason. They got hot at the right time. They won 9-13 to end the season. They took a series in their house of horrors, the Milwaukee Brewers. So, I'm not going to take anything away from the players and whatnot, but I think the manager really made a big difference. Critical of him at times, I was never on the fire Tito train and whatnot. David Bell, he never held his guys accountable. That's why he said when we were on a 7-game losing streak, I still remember that. He said, our guys are doing great. Would Tito have said that? Absolutely not. But anyway, we look at why the Reds, why they have a chance to win. We look at their young core. We look at, you know, obviously we got Spencer Steer, who I didn't mention. Matt McClain, I'm kind of on the fence with him as far as coming back for 2026, but there's a lot of guys on this team that really, really have some upside to them. And I really want to see it. I want to see it all come together. I really want to see them get that breakthrough. You know, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, they can become legit postseason arms if they continue to. Abbott rarely saw the field in Game 2. So I really want to see some more from them in the postseason. I'm hoping that the window is a lot longer than I think we're all expecting it to be. But I love the Tito hiring. Like I said, we needed an experienced guy at the helm for this team. And I think it adds a little bit more stability to what the Reds are trying to do. Now, we get into the offseason, and we're going to have a lot of important decisions to make. And you best start that off by go getting Kyle Schwarber, the Middletown kid. Tom Brenneman's preached that for years. You should go do it. But now, why not them? Obviously, we look at the NL. Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers. They're all tough outs. The Reds have proven time and time again they cannot beat the Milwaukee Brewers. And like I said, I love the pitching that we have, one of the best staffs in the league, but consistent top-tier pitching is what's going to get you so far. And especially to survive October against those gauntlets, young teams especially, like they have the capability to just fold under pressure. I'm not saying that this group is definitely that tight, but we don't know. You know, the front office, especially in a small market in baseball, like they have to be very precise with the moves that they make. The moves they make, how they draft, you know, the farm system as a whole. That's very, very important for a small market team. And we've seen small markets win. We've seen the Giants win. We've seen the Royals win. We've seen the Cardinals. They won 2 in the last 20 years. Like, there's so many options you can go this offseason, but hopefully the direction that we take is the winning one. Another thing, and this just goes back to a curse, I guess, if you want to call it that, but we just not have proven that we can win a playoff series. We haven't won a playoff series or advanced in the playoffs since 1995, which is ironically when we swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. You look at the Reds, man, they're in a tough spot. They're not bad. They're not great. They got to figure out how to make them great. If they want to tear it all down. But I think you should just continue to add and make yourself at least a legitimate contender going into next year. Nick Kroll, I'm looking at you, buddy. You better be on your A game. I've been calling you for to be fired. Prove me wrong. Anyway, moving on. So we look at the Bengals, man. Obviously, Joe Burrow, it all starts with him. Absolutely just wreaks havoc on the NFL when he's healthy. Quote unquote, when he's healthy. He has led the Bengals to, obviously, a Super Bowl. He's led us to a conference title game. So he's brought a lot of success. You look at the Bengals. I mean, this is not a picture, obviously, from this year. But this is proof that the front office has the capability to construct a roster, man. I mean, this was an explosive offense from 2022. You know, we had Mixon, we had Boyd, we had Chase, we had even Trenton Irwin made some plays. So it really just shows that the front office can do it. The Bengals can do it. But your window in both sports are just, they narrow down really easily. It's not one of those situations where it's like, oh, we lost, we'll be back here next year. Like, trust me, I've seen a lot of that. Again, like I said, it starts with Burrow. We've proven time and time again we can do it in the playoffs. And when I say time and time again, I'm referring to those 2 years. We proved at the time. We're about to miss the playoffs for the third straight year. I just don't think that's a acceptable standard. So the Bengals have showed that they can at least get there. However, I want Zach Taylor fired. I know that Burrow loves him and whatnot, but he just has not been the guy for this team. I just don't think he's the guy for this team. I don't think that the Bengals will get to the Super Bowl with him at the helm. I just don't. I know Burrow will have some tough talking to do with him and whatnot, but I think Zach Taylor just needs to go. Plain and simple, he just needs to go. You know, he's a good dude and everything, but he just is not head coach worthy. And I never, ever, ever say take advice from the Reds, but hire someone that's experienced. Hire someone that has, you know, knowledge and about football, that knows, you know, has a brain between the ears and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Just someone that it isn't Zach Taylor. This defense has been atrocious. And again, this is an old picture because it showed what we once had and how far it's fallen today. Unfortunately, the worst statistical defense in NFL history. The Bengals, man, they got a lot of hard looking to do. Right now, we're 3-7, so I don't expect anything. But this offseason, we got a long, long list of things we need to do. So, why them? Burrow and Chase is an instant threat. Dangerous chemistry. You add T. Higgins as a wide receiver too. That's dangerous. Lethal and unstoppable. The AFC isn't as hard as past years. They were stacked in 2023. They were stacked in 2022. But they're still loaded with top QBs. I mean, you look at, obviously it starts with Patrick Mahomes, even though the Chiefs are not off to the best start. They're still 5-5. Josh Allen, you know, struggling a little bit with the Bills. But again, these are top quarterbacks. Lamar also, he's coming back healthy. Like, these are all top quarterbacks. So, like, yeah, we have ours, but a lot of people have theirs. So it's going to be important for us to match theirs. One thing about the NFL that I always have given it credit for, and this goes for, like, baseball too, but NFL has amazing parity in terms of what teams get into the playoffs. I'm not saying that there's always a different champion and whatnot, or like a repetitive like late runs, but there's always some chance of teams getting in. I mean, one team can go from last to first. It's much more likely than in, let's say, even baseball. I mean, in baseball, like the Blue Jays went from last to first, but that's harder to do, man. And when Burrow's healthy, man, you're an instant contender because you can go toe-to-toe with anybody. It's just about, can your defense close? That's what it's about. So why not them, though? Again, Joe Burrow's health is a concern. The defense is abysmal, and they need major fixing. So I need the front office to go out there and do that. It's a one-game elimination, so that's, I guess, positive in some ways because, like, if you win, then it's like, okay, well, you got to do it again. If you lose, it's like, okay, we get another chance. So I kind of get the argument for baseball and liking the series better. But so I'm not going to say that, like, either one is, like, better than the other. But it's like one or two bad injuries also. That can change the season instantly. With the big contracts, the money that we're paying Burrow, the money that we paid Chase and T this offseason, which got more expensive because we didn't do it the year before, that's coming back to bite us in the butt. And it's going to get harder and harder to maintain those. So we have a lot of hard looking to do. We got to look at some of the guys. Are they worth being here next year? Because the answer to half of those players is no. So the Bengals have a lot of work to do this offseason. And it's going to just take a lot out of the front office for me to gain my trust back. And same goes for the Reds. Both front offices have their work cut out for them. And they both deserve a boatload of criticism for what they do to their fans. FCC, make Cincinnati happy, please. So one thing I will give both these front offices credit for, they both know how to construct a roster. They both have shown time and time again that they can be competitive. They can make moves to make them competitive. It's just that sometimes they don't. And they sit on their hands and get too complacent. And the way I look at it for the Bengals, they have the same issue as the Bills. They both have franchise quarterbacks, and the organization expects them to just take them through. That's not how it works. Like the Reds, you're telling me that they can't be at least like a better team than they were last year if they make moves? We lost to the defending back-to-back champions. You're telling me that we can't at least be more competitive, I guess, if we play someone else, if we add a couple pieces? We're a long way away from being a World Series team, but we can do it. So that's my point with these two teams. They can do it, and I'm just curious, like, will they, and, you know, when they? That's the main thing, and who will do it first. So my final answer, guys, based on everything that I've kind of talked about, is the Cincinnati Bengals. They will get their first Super Bowl before the Reds get their 6th World Series for this very reason. in the NFL, it's much easier to win with bad front offices. I mean, people thought Howie Roseman before 2018 was a terrible GM. Now he's viewed as one of the best. Like, these things happen with winning. Winning cures everything. One elite quarterback, a strong roster, instant contender. You win 10, 11 games, and you have star-studded players on your team, immediately contender. And you have a shorter playoff path, 3 to 4 wins. Again, like I said, looked at both a bad and a good thing. So then we look at the MLB. The front office, am I supposed to trust the Reds front office right now? Not exactly, but building a roster is much more broad. I mean, you got to build depth, you got to build through the draft, you got to build through, good development systems. Like, there's a lot that goes into it that has to go right, and it's worth it if it goes right. And that's why I want the organization to do it. It's all about getting hot at the right time. The teams that get hot in September, that stay hot, that don't peak too early, they get hot at the right time. They usually tend to go all the way. So that's what I really have noticed over this, I guess, a handful of years that I've watched both sports. I won't hate any argument for both. I don't care who gets one first. I just want one from each of these teams. I don't care who gets it first. Just both of you win in my lifetime. That's all I got. But again, I want to know from you guys. What do you guys think? Who gets a ring next, the Reds or the Bengals? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Hey, you watched the whole video. Thanks for that. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later.